So you're thinking about making a move to Metro Detroit and you're trying to figure out if Plymouth or Northville is the best fit for you. Now, you're not alone in this. There's a lot of people moving to this area, and Plymouth and Northville always get brought up on the conversations. It's two cities that I cover pretty often, and I want to make a video so you guys can understand what the differences are. Now, there's a lot going on in both Plymouth and Northville. I mean, they're right next to each other, but they're definitely have a different feel and different vibe to one another, but very similar in a lot of regards. So let's take a closer look and see which one might be a better fit for you and your family. We're going to dive into some things that people often overlook when comparing these two towns, and we're getting after it right now. Hey, if you're new to me and new to my channel, my name's Eric, and my team and I have helped a lot of people make that move here to Michigan, and we absolutely love it. So whether you're making a move in 1 month or 1 year from now, you guys do not hesitate to reach out. We can get on a Zoom call, get a game plan together to make your move here to Michigan as smooth as possible. So without further ado, let's dive in and take a look at Northville and Plymouth so you guys can understand what the key differences are and what some of the similarities are, but also figure out which one might be a better fit for you and your family. All right, so let's first start off with the vibe and the lifestyle in both of these cities. Now, when it comes to Plymouth, there's a really lively feel about Plymouth. It seems like there's always something going on, whether it's a festival in Kellogg Park or maybe it's just live music downtown that you can go and enjoy. Now, the city is very walkable. There's tons of restaurants, tons of coffee shops, tons of stores. You'll see a mix of kind of different demographics and people in Plymouth. So you got young professionals that are living there, you got families, and you also got retirees. And there's always this good energy about downtown Plymouth. So one of the things that people don't realize is that Kellogg Park hosts over 20 events every single year, and that includes the famous Ice Festival and Art in the Park, making it pretty much the hub of the community activities. Now, Northville, on the other hand, the vibe is a bit more quaint and relaxed with a little bit more of a historic feel to it. You'll notice a lot of beautiful Victorian-style architecture, which gives it more of that classic vibe that I was talking about. It's a little bit quieter than Plymouth, and it's more of a place where you can go enjoy coffee in a cafe and just read a book and relax. I mean, that does exist in Plymouth, but you kind of get the vibe that I'm going for here when I'm explaining Northville. Northville has also made a very significant effort in historic preservation, ensuring the 19th century charm is maintained in the city. And this contributes to the uniqueness in Northville, giving it more of that quaint, relaxed feel. All right, so how do you choose the best vibe and lifestyle in both these cities? Well, if you want more of an energetic, more social scene where you got a lot of options, got maybe a little bit more nightlife, Plymouth is probably a better option for you. But if you're going for something that's a little bit more laid back, it's got more of a historic feel to it, Northville is probably the best option for you. All right, so next up, we're going to take a look at the housing and the neighborhoods in both Plymouth and Northville. And let me just lay the groundwork before we get into this, because I want to say that both of these cities have amazing real estate. The homes here are amazing. The neighborhoods are amazing. Both are very, very difficult to choose from. So when it comes to Plymouth, Plymouth has a lot of historic homes. There's a good mix of historic homes. There's also cute bungalows. There's small ranches. There's a lot more options, and even new construction. So when it comes to Plymouth, there's a lot of homes surrounding the downtown area. So the closer you get to downtown, the pricier it can be. Outside of the downtown, there's a lot of newer subdivisions with modern homes. There's also homes in subdivisions that were built in kind of the early 90s, early 2000s. They're going to have your bigger yards. So if you head west of Plymouth, you'll see a lot of those. Now, Northville, on the other hand, tend to have a lot more upscale and larger homes. And these are including the new construction. One of the most expensive new construction neighborhoods in Michigan, Park Vista by Toll Brothers, has broken ground, and they pretty much sold out within the first 6 months that they opened up. And when you get into Northville Township, there's also a lot of gated communities and homes on golf courses. Northville has a pretty strict agriculture guidelines to preserve its historic character, which can also impact renovations and additions. So if you are looking for historic homes near the downtown area, there's some beautiful Victorian homes. And the other thing to keep in mind is if you are going to go for an older home and you like the historic, feel of that, just keep in mind a lot of these older homes are going to have aging infrastructure. So roofs, the foundation, plumbing, all of those things need to be taken into consideration. And also, we can't forget about the HOAs. Both Northville and Plymouth do have a lot of subdivisions that have HOAs. So if you're looking for a subdivision that doesn't have an HOA, the downtown areas definitely do not have HOAs, but you're subject to city guidelines and city, regulations if you want to put fences up and things like that. So HOAs can be a good thing or a bad thing. So if you're looking to be out of an HOA, and in a subdivision might be a little bit hard to do in both of these cities. All right, so next up, we're going to take a look at the schools and education in both Plymouth and Northville. Now, in Plymouth, you have Plymouth Canton Schools, which is one of the largest school districts in Michigan, period. That school is massive. There's like 6,000 kids that go to Plymouth Canton Schools. Now, you have people from Plymouth and Canton, which is just south of Plymouth, that feed into both that school. So both of those cities kind of share Plymouth Canton, which is kind of in the name. Plymouth also offers specialized programs. So this can be a big, significant difference if you're looking for advanced education for your kids. Plymouth might be a good option. You just got to kind of dive into what those curriculums are and what some of those AP or advanced, education options are that you might be looking for. Now, Northville, on the other hand, is a much smaller district. It's highly ranked with a lot more personalized feel. So if you're looking for a top tier school system and got a little bit smaller feel, so you don't have over 6,000 kids, Northville tends to have that edge over Plymouth. And both these school districts offer a good range of extracurricular activities, from clubs to sports. All right, so next up, we're going to take a look at the commute and accessibility. What is it like getting around Metro Detroit? Now, overall, you guys, when it comes to getting around Metro Detroit, it's not that difficult, but there are some differences. Plymouth is definitely closer to I-275 and M14, which makes commuting to Detroit or Ann Arbor very, very convenient. And you can also get to the Detroit airport or downtown Detroit pretty easily from Plymouth. Now, Northville is also close to 275 and I-96, which are the two main highways that are closest to Northville, but it's slightly further from the freeway than Plymouth. So getting around, Northville can be a little bit longer commutes to the major highways. You got to go north to I-96, got to cut through Novi to get to I-96, and then you have to go a little bit further to get to 275, from Northville. But at the end of the day, we're splitting hairs here because Northville and Plymouth are like super close to each other. Commutes are generally about the same, but Plymouth has a slight advantage in terms of the highway access. During rush hour, both these areas can really experience a lot of congestion, especially on the main highways like 275, M14. Having a vehicle is pretty much a necessity if you want to get to and from other areas in Metro Detroit. The busing system will just not take you there, or not take you there quickly, I should say. All right, so next up, we're going to take a look at the cost of living in both Plymouth and Northville. Now, like I said, in the real estate, there is a lot of amazing real estate in Northville and Plymouth, but these are also reflected in the prices. So when it comes to homes in Plymouth, Plymouth has a price range of around $400K up to $1 million, and it can go over $1 million, with higher prices if you're looking for walkable areas in the downtown area. And just depends on the age of the home. If it's a newer built home closer to downtown, that's going to be $1 million plus. If it's more of a bungalow or an older ranch style home, that could be anywhere from $400K on up to $750K. So it just really depends on the updates of each home. Now, Northville, on the other hand, home prices are going to range from $500,000 to $1.5 million on average. Obviously, it can go higher than that. If you're looking for a much nicer neighborhoods like the Bellagio come to mind, home prices in there can range anywhere from 1.5 as a starting, all the way up into about 3 to 4 million, depending on the level of customization and the uniqueness of some of the custom homes they've built in the subdivision. And when it comes to property taxes in both of the cities, Northville is going to have a slightly higher property tax just due to the nature of the more expensive homes in that city. All right, so next up, we're going to take a look at things to do in both Northville and Plymouth for you and your family. Now, when it comes to activities, both of these cities are great outdoors, right? We're really splitting hairs when it comes to Plymouth and Northville. They're both pretty close to each other, so they share a lot of the great amenities that are surrounding both of them. You can get to a lot of things in Northville from Plymouth and vice versa. Going back to the downtown Plymouth, Plymouth has Kellogg Park, which is really the heart of the downtown. This is where all the events are. You got the Plymouth Ice Festival, you got Art in the Park, that's where the live music is going to happen. That's also where all the restaurants and eateries are. So you got options from bars to restaurants to breweries to coffee shops to shopping, walkability downtown, and just taking the kids down there. At the Art in the Park, for example, we took our girls there plenty of times last summer, and we travel from Brighton to Plymouth to go experience that. And they got vendors that are surrounding the park. They got restaurants, so you can go grab a bite to eat, head over to the park. That's just the type of kind of laid back vibe in the summertime, downtown. And then obviously the ice festival in the winter. So you got Kellogg Park, which is right downtown, but you also have tons of parks scattered throughout the subdivisions. So there's a lot of parks in Plymouth, and it's great for the kids. You know that a park's going to be nearby and you don't have to worry about it. And Northville, on the other hand, this is a strong contender when it comes to the downtown area, but the key difference is that Northville does not have an equivalent to Kellogg Park right smack dab in the middle of Northville. There is parks nearby, and they're kind of off to the side, kind of around the corner, and you can get to the parks, but not right in the middle. That kind of brings the whole entire community together where everything kind of feeds into one central location. Now, Northville does have Mayberry State Park, which is great for hiking, biking. They have events like the Victorian Festival and Farmers Market. Northville has less of a nightlife. Things tend to close a little bit earlier, but it does have more of a small town community feel. So from a things to do perspective, when you're looking between Northville and Plymouth, Plymouth has got the Kellogg Park, which is kind of the epicenter of the downtown. The energy downtown is a little bit more lively. You got more things to do, but Northville does have Mayberry State Park. So if you are an outdoor enthusiast and you want to be outside, you want biking trails, hiking trails, what I will say is if you are looking for more of a smaller town, a close-knit feeling with a more personalized education for your kids, then Northville might have the edge. But if you are looking for a city that is a little bit more lively, has better options for nightlife and just things to do with you and your family, then Plymouth might be a better option for you. Both towns have a lot of activities, community groups, and clubs, so it's worth researching specific interest if you are going to be seeing which town aligns with your lifestyle better. And the sense of community is strong in both these areas. I cannot stress this enough. Both these cities are amazing, and it's really hard to put Northville against Plymouth. Ultimately, you can't go wrong with either of these amazing cities here in Metro Detroit. If you'd like to learn more, feel free to reach out or schedule a call to meet with me and my team. Our details are down in the description below. And until next time, you got some more videos about all things Michigan here. Go check them out, and I'll be here to answer any of your questions, and I will see you on the next one.